trying to get that done by March. It's going to depend on the equipment lead times. We could be a month behind that, somewhere roundabout, but we're currently right now trying to get ahead by doing some in-house painting and in-house demo and cleaning and getting ready for that so we can move a little quicker when we do have funds to proceed with the bigger items.
Okay. And Ms. Roche, do you think that a lot of this is going to be done still in-house to be able to do this? I mean,
It will be a mixture in-house. We're always going to be most prudent with our funds. We're always going to try and achieve as much as we can with our own labor sources. And then we are design building with a contractor right now, trying to get a number on some air conditioning back. We're working on those final details. We're about 70% there. We're real close. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll have those final numbers. We have anticipated budgets and based off those numbers and things that we've been budgeting for, but yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Newman.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Rose, so the B1 building is going to be the administration building, but that's where we're moving people into the administration building. Is that correct? We're not having an admin building like that's just this, and then we're going to have to turn around to do something else for the SPED people moving, or like everybody's going into this building we're renoing?
No, sir. The names of these buildings on the documents right now is what they originally are. They're not what they're going to be.
Okay. Fair enough.
So when we decide we're going to make a shift, that's what that'll turn into. So that's going to be the new eval center. The admin will be eval. There is not an admin for the property.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Yes,
so I'll just refer to it as building B1 instead of administrative, because I think that kind of causes some questions like, are we just dumping leadership in there versus actually people are going to be doing
I apologize. These are their schematics from the original.
Sure, and that's fine. How many phases do you think, and this, I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm just curious, like long range. Do you think this is like a 3-phase, a 5-phase, and Superintendent Rowland might have to step in and say, hey, we got a 3 to 5 year plan on this whole property. I don't know, kind of what are you thinking there as far as getting it up to occupancy?
Right. At this point, I have the 1 phase, okay? And then as that unfolds, we're still shifting and working on other phases. I would anticipate there'd be a 2nd phase when the medical leaves, then we can start bringing the rest of the eval department in that area. These phases, we're just basing phase 1 off of because that's what we know today. Okay. And that's what we're trying to fund today. Phase 2 can be the whole rest of the project. Phase 2 can be broke up into 3 phases. It's going to depend on how fast the board would want to move on the vision the board wants and the funding that's available, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do we have a long-range plan on that? I know when I say long range, like, hey, we want to do this, and then we want to move this group, and then we want to, where are we with that? Because I know we had some hiccups with the DSIP grant, so where are we kind of in that planning?
Thank you, Mr. Newman. And Ms. Smith, Mr. Roger, yeah, we have some things that are staged out. And of course, a lot of it is in flux in there. We're going back again to the DSIP grant again. Ms. George, and we've already talked. She's been to Washington. Her and Sonia been to Washington and met with the LRG. And there's a lot of different groups that we're using to push our agenda to hopefully we can acquire that grant. So acquiring that grant would really speed up the process of what we wanted to accomplish. Without that, though, we're going to then turn and look to see what we can do as far as, we've already we've had some entertaining conversations with Barksdale about the usage of the cafeteria area, where they're wanting to partner with us to bring in their shelves and things like that. So that's probably going to be next. We've got to look to see what we're going to do with talented arts. As Mr. Roger mentioned, that entire department may be on the same campus, but may not be in the same building. There's a massive area down there for talented arts where you can do, it's got a theater, and we've talked about turning the air quote chapel into a use for music and singing, where the acoustics in there are really incredible, where you never really know which direction the design is incredible. So there are some things that we could do on a dime right now, but depending on the DSIP grant and Ms. George coming through with us and our lobbyists that are in Washington DC that are working hard for us every day. A lot of layers to where we want to go.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Brotherton?
Thank you. I'm not on this committee, but just a thought that keeps going through my head. Have we thought about reaching out to like Barksdale or someone to help us, to partner with us to clean up and paint? I mean, is there a way you can, I mean, I know when I was at Platt, Barksdale came, just for one example, and helped us do a whole project that we couldn't do. I mean, have we ever thought about reaching out to some of our businesses and to see if they would help us with some of this painting and all
There's
this
some-
stuff that has to be done?
There's some resources we can reach out to and see if we can get some help. Right now, we're still methodically going through the project, and we're just utilizing some guys right now we're not on the whole property, every building right now. We're trying to focus on what we're trying to prioritize.
I was just thinking, there's so much that has to be done
But
out
yes.
there. And if we could get the people involved, our partners, our business people and all, I mean, that might could save us a lot of time and money, and they would have ownership too. I mean, I'm just throwing that
No.
out there.
That's great, because we're trying to bring a positive look for the public for this property. We don't want it to look like it has looked. We want it to look,
But we do. I mean, we want
Utilized.
them to kind of feel like they may have some ownership, be proud of it. So I was just thinking if we just kind of maybe could reach out somewhere, I don't
ma'am.
know. Just a thought.
yes, ma'am, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Bullard?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Roget, I have a couple of concerns. First of all, what you're proposing right now certainly is appropriate, but it would be we would have great use for some type of structured presentation that we can look at in terms of here's the next step, here's the next step. With the understanding, funding and priorities may bring about a requirement that we modify, we have to, change, but that's life. But I would like to see, and I don't think I'm alone, what is the long-term, where are we going to go next year, the year after, over the next 5, 10 years? And let me say, no one was more positive about acquiring this property than myself. But after going and looking at it, there's some properties there. I mean, you can just do so much with a sow's ear. And there's no silk purses to be had with quite a few of those buildings. I went in one, and you and I have talked about it. The amount of mold and mildew readily observable. That property is not eligible realistically for any type of rehabilitation. I mean, that thing needs to come down. We saw others. Again, realistically, we need to bring them down. And I'd just like to see, a plan of how we're going to progress with some numbers. So we're going to have to start finding some money to do this. And right now, other than this one particular project, we don't have the dollar amounts that you're going to need. We want to do it, but we need to know what's our goal. What are we shooting for here? So I would very much appreciate that. I am so glad that they're going to, ARC is going to continue with upkeep of that chiller system.
Yes.
I'll be glad the day comes when we can demolish that thing and get it off of it. But thank you, sir. One other question. Are we having any problem with people going onto that property after hours and riding and looking? Do we have any security concerns out there?
We have had a few issues, and we're working to try and resolve and slow that issue down, but it is a full-time medical facility, and I can't barricade it. So we're having to use our resources right now to try and shore up these buildings from unwanted visitors on the property, especially with the colder months coming. We want to make sure we don't have those intruders go around the property and find places to shore up with no supervision. So we're trying to accomplish this as much as possible. And, you know, that piggybacks to your conversation about the conditions of the building. Obviously, we have a list of buildings that we're done with. They're going to be demoed. But we have some that we want to save, and we're trying to use these funds to encapsulate them, make sure that no further damages happen to them, make sure no water intrusions, no water issues. Don't have to necessarily have heat and air at this time, but as long as we don't have a water line that can bust and cause catastrophic, those types of things. So we're methodically going through all of those buildings. A lot to learn, 200,000 square foot of facilities. There's a lot to learn where that pipe is, what that does, going through plans, et cetera. So yes, we've had some intruders. We've been working with Captain Johnson on security. We're trying, the sheriff has helped us with a few safety stuff for intruders coming in. We have upped the patrol for Bossier City. We are patrolling on weekends. I got a few select people that if you're in town, swing through there. Just make sure there's not a vehicle that's not supposed to be there, those types of issues. So I stop people all the time. Who are you? What are you doing? Well, I'm waiting to go in and work at the medical deal. No problem. Just want to know who you are. So we are trying to slow that. That will get better over the next year. The cleaner it looks, the better that condition gets. The more we make it not look like an abandonment, the better that's going to get. And that's what we're trying to fund and take care of.
Absolutely. Get us a plan and give us some dollar figures so we know what to start working toward.
Any other board concerns?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the JMAC Phase 1 improvements, estimated cost of $598,000.
I have a motion by Mr. Newman, a second by Mr. Bullard. Mr. Faulkner, did you have a question?
Yeah, just thinking out loud, and I'm not on the committee, but thank you for letting me, I just want to ask a quick question. Would it, or has the idea been tossed around because we have some buildings there that are incredibly unsafe for people? Would it almost be smarter to worry about clearing the bad buildings off first? That way we know what buildings we've kept and there's no buildings with mold. You know, if you have a construction crew out there and one of them walks in the wrong building, I mean, for liability purposes, if a homeless person tries to go in and stay, like the buildings that we're condemning, would it not make more sense to demolish all those and just have everything's gone? That way we know what we have to work with and then go,
That's a good point. Mr. Newman alluded to the $598,000. And that is estimated cost of trying to bring up Phase 1. We would like to have the inactive project balances moved over completely at $638,000 and try and use whatever extra money we get off of the Phase 1 to try and demo and clean up those unsecure situations as we can afford to do. Yes, sir. And we would get the most unsecure ones first, the most hazardous ones first, and then work our way through the ones that we're going to get to.
We do have a motion and a second on the table. Please vote. Show of hands. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Request number 2, approval of cooperative endeavor agreement between Daktronics Incorporated and Bossier Parish School Board for school board replacement at Harold Harlan Stadium and Halton High School. Discussion and action. Mr. Roget.
Halton High has brought to our attention that a private donor would like to purchase and install a large scoreboard for the football field. The scoreboard is approximately 47 feet wide, 26 foot tall, digital board. This is something that we're still dealing with behind the scenes and details. We have worked with the SWEPCO, we've worked with electric companies, we've worked with everybody we need, 2 school boards, to try and come up with a dollar figure on this. And we are still in negotiating with the private donor. We would just like to have permission to move forward on behalf of the board with this project as the private donor accepts. We don't want to miss an opportunity through holiday or anything like that. If this private donor says, hey, we're ready to go, we want to go, we don't want to say, well, wait a minute, we got to go to the board in January, and then him lose interest in this. So our wish would be for the board to allow staff to proceed the cooperative endeavors as needed for this project to proceed. It's a big project.
That's a no-brainer. Mr. Newman made the motion, and Ms. Darby made the second. Please vote. That's awesome. Thank you. And then item number 3, request for Bossier High School, the Lego addition to the Bossier Memorial Stadium turf field. Mr. Roget.
Sorry, excuse me, just, Madam Chairman, just, this item was added on the agenda, so
Okay.
if we ask for public comment prior to taking action.
Okay, all right. You want to present? Go ahead and present, and then we'll ask for
Present
public
first?
comment. Yeah.
Okay. Item number 3, Bossier High logo for the turf field. We had a price from the Geo Surfaces for $22,700. And what that would do is they would come in and put a 50-yard line, big B, in the center circle of the field. We've checked all warranties. They will not void warranties. They're a sister company to the original company, won't void and cause any issues. Timing will have to be negotiated between the school and the contractor. We'll try and negotiate the best timing. I know we got a lot going on, but the request is to do that for $22,700.
Okay. Any comment from the audience? Any board comments?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that the committee approves this funded by, and we originally had discussed funded by earned interest, or whatever the term was, off the bond fund interest money. So I wanted to make sure that I put that in my motion, that to approve this funded by bond interest. And then Ms. Tugwell's here. I don't know if the board or committee wanted to hear from Ms. Tugwell. We went with the B because Bossier's motto is nothing bigger than the B, and this would be a very good thing for the community and the school. The kids are out there all the time, and just kind of bring it up to parity with the other fields that we're doing. This should have been done in the beginning. Mr. Roche and I have talked back and forth 100 times about why it wasn't done in the beginning. We really can't say anything other than our original consultant was not as good as we would have liked him to be. I'll leave it at that. So with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this funded out of bond interest.
Okay.
Please.
Any comment? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Newman, a second by Ms. Darby. Please vote. Passes unanimously.
Chairman Smith, can I get a clarification
Okay.
on one item? The first item, did we approve the $598,000, or did we approve the rest of the inactive project funding?
You made the motion.
I think I read out 598, honestly. According to Ms. Carey, I read out 598. Do I need to, I would like to amend my motion, Mr. Self?
Yes, we can amend it and then just revote.
Okay. I would like to amend my motion to include the entire, or funding that is available from inactive project balances estimated around $638,771.51.
Okay, so we have a amended motion on the table by Mr. Newman. Second by Ms. Poole. Please vote.
And that extra 40 is going to help with demo?
Sir?
The extra 40 is going to help with some demo, hopefully? Is that the?
Yes, sir, that's what I'm hoping, yes, sir.
Any other questions, concerns? Building and Grounds is dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you.